Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Come on. Welcome to the 2015 season of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. This is Captain Rick Murphy.
Hey, Brie.
Hey, and I'm Brie Gabrielle. And don't worry, because we're back bringing you the greatest and latest fishing reports from all over the state of Florida. Rick, I'm so excited to be back.
I'm excited too, Brie. You know, for the next 26 weeks, we get to talk about fishing and how great it is here in the state of Florida. I'm very excited.
Me too, but let's not forget our trusty work buddy at the bench, Mr. Dave. Hey.
We're back and we're getting paid. That's the great thing.
Great.
You like that,
It's been
Dave?
a long, dry wintertime, and now it's time to come back to work.
Yeah,
Well, you're looking good, Dave, let me tell
I
you.
know it.
All right, Rick, so we're starting this season off with your favorite fish to catch and something you're quite good at catching, redfish.
Well, Brie, you're absolutely right. Redfish is certainly one of my favorite species. They have that underslung mouth, as you can tell here by Sports Fishing Magazine's pictures. The key is, Brie, that the redfish is sought out from everybody, whether it's a kayaker, a guy on a pier, whether it's flats boat guys. You can catch them in a variety of different places. They're very popular throughout the whole state of Florida, and that's why we started this season off with them. But you know, Brie, since 2001, I've been fishing professional redfish tournaments, and I've been able to fish for a lot of the same sponsors that we have today. We have Maverick and Rapala and Hughes, but more importantly, in all those years, Jeffrey Page and I had never won a championship, whether we fished together or without each other. But more, you know, so we went this year. We had to qualify by fishing 2 tournaments in Florida, went to Louisiana, fished against 103 of the best teams. And when it was all said and done, after running 432 miles in our Pathfinder and Yamaha carrying us there, we brought home the trophy, and that was a great feat. But, you know, Captain Page told me, if we win, I'm going in with the fish. So he went to the release tank, and sure enough, he went in there, check out all his buddies in there, make sure that they were doing fine. Only like Captain Page can do, deliver the mail with the redfish. And here he is, one happy winning champion right there.
One with the redfish.
One with the redfish.
Love it.
You got it.
Okay, well, you know how it goes. We're going to kick the season off with our very first region in the Central East with Captain Jim Ross.
Well, hey, gang, it's great to be back. But you know what? My region is known for growing some of the biggest redfish there are, and we get to sight cast to these fish on the Banana, Indian, and Mosquito Lagoons on many different occasions. Now, most of the fish are resident stock, and a lot of people don't know that, but they don't normally leave the lagoon system for their entire lives. Now, a lot of these big fish, because of that, become very, very smart. So you're going to have a perfect presentation to get them to strike. Anglers using live baits and cut baits can fare a little bit better, especially if you've got some windy situations, and those big trophy class specimens will pick up live and cut baits on the edges of the bars. Now, offshore, we've got redfish as well. The nearshore pogie pods between Sebastian and Ponce Inlet are good places to catch bull reds up to 30 pounds. And right now, we've been rigging live pogies on a VMC 7385 7/0 or 8/0 size circle hook and about a 3-foot piece of 50-pound Suffolk fluorocarbon leader. And that really, provides some shade protection against those giant redfish. Now, you want to attach that to a sliding sinker rig to get it down below the bait pod. And I'm telling you what, if you guys do that, you're going to have a great day of fishing on the water. If you don't want to use the live baits, you can also fish beneath the cobia, or between the pogie pods with a cobia jig. So don't forget to use some of those larger jigs, bounce it on the bottom, and those redfish will pick it up. And here's an example of some of the big redfish that we catch inshore. We got a really, really nice one from Rick Syra here that was caught in the Indian River about a week ago on a live shrimp.
Wow, that's great fish there, Jim. Now, Jim, let me ask you something. We're going to talk about navionics from your region. Now, certainly, we're talking about the Mosquito Lagoon, and when you get to the Mosquito Lagoon, one of your favorite places is Cucumber Island. Now, what Captain Jim told me is if you look here just west of the island itself, there's some fish that have been holding. And the key is that you want to fish those drop-offs, as you see here in the actual chart. The other thing that comes to mind is he also said the slot-sized fish are down here on the south end, but there's also some big trout, 30-inch plus trout, right down in this region. So whenever you get into the lagoon, you might want to go check out Captain Jim's favorite spot. So what else you got for us, Jim?
Well, just give me a couple of boat links worth of room, if you would. I'd appreciate it. Hey, we've also got black drum, though, Rick. And there's a lot of drum in the lagoon this year. we've been really fortunate with a lot of fish in the 4 to 10 pound range, and you can find them on the flats, tailing and being happy. And then if you want to catch the bigger fish, like 15 to 40 pound class fish, they're holding more on the drop-offs, channel edges, and especially in your structure like bridge pilings. The bigger fish can also be found migrating up and down the beaches right now in the Central East region, so don't overlook that. For black drum, you want to use live shrimp, cut oysters, or cut crab. Those are probably your best 3 options. Now, farther offshore, dolphin have been hitting trolled ballyhoo, and you want to stay in about that 180 to about 350-foot depth. That seems to be the best throughout the region. Naked chin-weighted baits are working particularly well on the smaller fish, but if you want to get some of the darker fish, red and black or purple and black skirts are working pretty good for them. If you put it on a downrigger especially, that seems to be, especially in the middle of the day, the darker skirts on the downrigger have been great. Look for floating weeds, debris, all that kind of stuff that you would normally look for. But don't overlook the 21 and 27 fathom ridges or that area over the cones and steeples. If there are no floating debris, a lot of times the fish will associate to those ridges because that's where the bait goes to. And then our last species is the shark. And a lot of people like to catch shark in this region, and it has been a wonderful off-season for the show for the fine-toothed black-tip spinners and all of the other variety of sharks that we have. Most of these fish are in the 20 to 50-foot depths. You can use large chunks of bonita, bluefish, or barracuda, and even live pogies, and you can get the job done on most days. Our average shark runs about 25 to about 50 pounds, but we've got sharks that are going over the 150-pound mark when the conditions are right. Now, another thing that you can catch when you're fishing for the sharks, especially in the Canaveral area, is big redfish. And this week's theme species is being held right now by Lee Ansell and my son Justin Ross, and this is a fish that we caught under one of those pogie pods while we were targeting various types of fish, the sharks, the redfish, and all of the others.
All right, great report. Way to start us off, Jim. We're going to go ahead and get a look at the hookup lure hotspots from the Central East region. Captain Jim says, inshore, the redfish on the eastern shoreline of the Mosquito Lagoon cast live shrimp to the tailing fish or to sandy potholes in the flats. And then offshore, we're going to go dolphin fishing, Brie, on the western edge of the Gulf Stream. Pull skirted ballyhoos at 4 to 6 knots.
Speaking of skirts, do you like my jacket?
I do. Whose jacket?
Guy Harvey by Artisan.
All right, I like it.
And I like your Afco shirt too.
Thanks.
It's beautiful. All right, moving
Don't touch me, you make me feel cheap.
Okay. Moving
kidding.
right along to our Central West region. Captain Jeff Page, I know, is squirming. He's so excited to be back on the air. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, you guys. A lot of love going on in there. A lot of love.
Always.
Hey, Rick, Bree, Dave. Really good to be back, and as you all know from fishing here with me a time or two in the Central West region, there's no shortage of redfish. They can be a little spooky at times, but for the most part, next to the speckled trout, the redfish is our year-round go-to game fish. And with the spring run of bait fish in full swing right now, look for groups of redfish early in the morning crashing on schools of glass minnows and pilchards on top of most of our well-known grass flats. For instance, Fort DeSoto, the Bulkhead, Long Bar, Lemon Bay, and Whiddens and Catfish Creek to the south. As for throwing lures at them, throw topwater or subsurface plugs like Rapala skitterwalks in the bone chartreuse or the live target subsurface chrome greenback scale sardine first thing in the morning. And then as the day heats up, switch off the Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner in the Mama 14-karat gold pattern, rigged on an 1/8 or 1/4 ounce Assassin weedless swim bait hook, which comes in a variety of colors. It's a brand new bait they just came out with. I prefer the watermelon red color. As for live bait, you can't go wrong throwing a free-line pilchard or a corked pinfish, or even a ladyfish chunk on the bottom. The reds are averaging 24 to 33 inches this time of year. And speaking of redfish, I've got a photo of myself and Mad Mo's entrepreneur, sports bar owner, Ed Arsenal, who filled in for you last week, Rick, on the Team Yamaha Jägermeister. And we took the win out of Florida Pro Redfish out of Ruskin, Florida.
Well, congratulations to you guys. Appreciate Eddie filling in for me while we were chasing the sailfish over here on the East Coast. But what else you got for us inshore, Jeffrey?
We got species too, snook, lots of snook showing up all over the same grass flats that I spoke of earlier about the redfish, as well as all our inlets and passes. They haven't moved out on the beaches yet, but that's going to happen in the next week or so. to the south part of the region, say from Venice Jetty to Gasparilla Pass, look for the fish on the high outgoing tides, live freeline pilchards again, or even live grunts or pinfish. You got to bump your leader up when you're fishing on those jetties and passes due to rocks and structure there. Lures, suspending lures like the Rapala olive green twitch and wrap or the Mirror MR17 Mirrodines are working real well. Look for the fish holding in the schools of mullet at the lower stages of the tide in the morning. That's around the grasslet and mangroves, and then up close to the mangroves and oyster bar as the tide rises. Snook are averaging 20 to 32 inches, and I've got a photo of a couple of Pat Deneen's clients, Ed and Scott from Destin, Florida. They came down and fished with me, and they had a big snook fishing day, something that they don't catch up there in Pat's region.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Offshore, species 1, red grouper. Lots of red grouper are still being taken in close as 50 feet of water, but they have started to bump out to a... Rick is finding the good hard bottom with big bait stacks showing up on your bottom machine. Part of the region's been from Anna Maria south to Venice. Guys are doing real well, and they're using frozen sardines just as well as live pinfish, so bring both. The red groupers are averaging 8 to 16 pounds. Species 2, mangrove snapper, nice mangs coming off the wrecks and ledges in 30 feet to 90 feet of water. Cut sardines as well as live shrimp on a 3/8 hookup jig head have been the ticket. Anyway, real quick, it's good to be back on the Chevy Insider Fishing Report team, and I've got a quick note about the CCA Star Tournament starting on Memorial Day and ending on Labor Day. There'll be more to come, but I can tell you this much. If you catch a redfish that's tagged and you're entered in the tournament, you got a shot, and it's on the west coast of Florida I'm talking about. You got a shot at winning a Hell's Bay, a Contender, or a Pathfinder boat. There's all kinds of other stuff that we're going to fill you all in on way before Memorial Day, so stay tuned, and don't forget, get you a Chevy truck.
Way to represent StarTron, the Central West region. Jeffrey, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central West region. Inshore, Spanish mackerel and kingfish over the nearshore reefs and bait schools throughout the entire region. Troll X-Wraps or free-line live threadfins in 20 to 40 feet of water. Offshore, red groupers, the quantity of reds holding in as close as 50 to 70 feet of water in any type of hard bottom in the entire region.
Well, Rick,
Yes.
this beautiful truck behind us
Yes.
is a Chevy.
I know.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
Well,
During the break. Actually, I'm just kidding you. I thought I'd be like, let's tell you about this. You know, last year, Brie, we actually showed you some really cool pieces. This is the 2015 Suburban with the full flat seating, and I really like it because I can throw all my tournament stuff as well as even a sheet of plywood in the back.
got a lot of stuff. And my favorite, my link, you have your navigation, you can hook up your Pandora, which is my personal favorite. Got to have the tunes on the road.
Right.
And so you keep your eyes on the road, we have the address book that you can hook up, as well as USB ports and outlets. It's perfect. And also we have the accessories packages with the grills, the wheels, the running boards for them shorties like you, Rick.
Is it?
Look at, there it is. And then we've got under the seat storage for the kids. I'm just kidding. And then we've got storage in the back, of
And
course.
you know, if you're a boater, Brie, you gotta have a tow vehicle, and towing, Chevy has made towing second nature. And it doesn't matter whether you have a 39-foot Contender with a big heavy-duty HD or even the Silverado Suburban like I do, the key is making that hookup easy. And certainly the backup cameras that come in all of the Chevy models make that job simply easy.
Look at that.
And I gotta tell you, speaking of this beautiful Chevy, Brie, this was the actual truck of the year, the new Chevy Colorado. More importantly, for guys like you, Brie,
Guys, you mean girls like me?
girls,
Women.
anglers, look, it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle. You can have your yak rack, you can have your back seat. It's the bomb, and it's really strong for a little mid-sized truck. There's nothing small about it.
No, there isn't, Rick.
All right.
Okay, don't go away, because coming up on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're welcoming our newbie captain in the Northeast region. And then going off the deep end with Dave.
Can't wait.
What are we diving into today, Dave?
Well, we're going to try to figure out how Rick was able to win this trophy. That's what I want to know.
Secrets?
So stay around. We're going to see some Rick tournament secrets.
Woohoo!
Redfish
Stay
secrets
tuned.
from Murphy.
We'll be right back.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by
Chevy, find new roads. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Contender boats, performance through innovation. Humminbird, simply, clearly, better. Decks and Docks Lumber Company, Florida's dock and seawall supplier. And King Sailfish Mounts, www.kingsailfish.com.
When you want a dependable truck, you want the most awarded pickup of 2014.
I was born free.
You want the truck from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. You want the Chevy Silverado, made of high-strength dependability. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Yamaha's next-generation V6 four-strokes are changing the game.
Mid-range power was awesome.
Fuel, the burn, it's unbelievable.
Couldn't believe the speed and the fuel economy is pretty impressive.
I mean, I couldn't believe the power. It was like it was more like doing a quarter mile on a drag strip.
And them things are like, it's a whole nother game. So I made the switch.
Experience the difference for yourself during the Yamaha Discover V6 Offshore Demo Tour. See why we call it the Game Changer.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
Now it's time to go over the news and notes from the FWC. April 4th and 5th is Freshwater License-Free Fishing Day throughout the state. April 11th, there is a kids fishing clinic in Pensacola. And April 14th through the 16th, you can attend a commission meeting in Tallahassee. For more information, visit myfwc.com. And now it's time to go off the deep end.
It is time to go off the deep end. Dave Ferrell here at the CCA Florida Workbench. And
Yeah,
Dave,
man.
Humminbird wants to know about how we're going to do the rigs and techniques on redfish.
Well, you know, I figured it'd be kind of foolish for me to stand up here and tell you how to catch a redfish because I don't have that big, pretty trophy. So let's talk a little bit. You know, I know that you guys got a new rod and reel sponsor this year, and we're going to be talking a lot of them. We got them on the show, so we're going to be talking a lot about them. So let's start with, you know, what was your combo? What was your favorite rig that you used?
Ideally, what we used was the Shadow Stalker rod series, 7 foot long, Dave. Some guys like a 7.5 foot rod. The problem is, for me, when you're sight fishing, the shorter the rod, the more accurate you can be. So I like a 7 footer because I can still get distance, but when I see that fish pop up, like they were doing in Louisiana, they were in the pogie schools.
Right.
We were simply rigged with a little VMC boxer jig head, and we used everything in Louisiana, for whatever reason, has to have a chartreuse tail.
Because that's what the boys like.
So we were using this Bass Assassin Elite Shiner with a VMC boxer jig. It was rigged with 10-pound Suffolk 832 Ghost line, the white, because I feel like the white line, it kind of blends in with the clouds.
Right.
And then we used this Samar 40 series loaded with the 10-pound. Now, I want to tell you something, Dave. The cool part about this, and this is true, I have 2 of these, and these were given to me by the product manager at Okuma.
Right.
He dropped this actual rod in October, rod and reel, in the water. Now listen, all he did was rinse it off, and he said, well, we're going to probably in a few weeks, a month or so, we're going to be throwing that one away because it was in the water for quite some time.
Right.
It's still here. It still works perfectly.
Well,
so that
beauty.
says a lot about the
Well,
quality.
we got
of
you
the
know, you got to have an inshore rod. So
Yeah, you do.
That's the way it works. What was your you know, we talked a little bit about the rod and reel. You fished into different tournaments. What was your go-to lure? If you had any lure that you had to go to, what would that have been?
Well, I
different places, I imagine it's different ones, but
yeah. But in this particular tournament, we fished early in the morning. We would throw the skitter walk, and the reason why we like the skitter walk is the actual tone, and you'll hear it tonight. I'll be shaking it for some of the other guys, but it clicks, and it's a deeper tone ball bearing in there, and that's the thing that I like about it. It's certainly the #1 topwater plug in all the topwater manufacturers. Then we also were fishing a spinner bait. Because of the flash, using a Bass Assassin tail with a VMC boxer jig head. We used 3/8, we used 1/4 ounce, depending on the depth of the water as the flow, the tide came in.
Well, the spinner bait's really good because you can keep it off the surface and off the bottom at the same time, and you can pick where you want it to run.
And you can reel it real slow. Because the blade, the resistance as it goes through the water.
Yeah, and I heard you guys were running 108 miles each way. Were you the only guys doing that, or were there
No,
other?
there was a couple other teams that did it, and the question at first was, we used the Navionics and our Humminbird combination so we could make a huge shortcut. Instead of having to run out around the end of the Gulf, we actually ran through some marsh that we never had run through before. But I kind of mapped it out on a few days before, and I ran the route halfway. The question was, were we going to have enough gas to go there and get gas on the way back? We weren't sure about that. But we used the fuel management gauges on the Pathfinder that Yamaha provides for us. Worked perfectly.
Yeah. Did you guys do a lot of scout fishing that far out? I mean, somebody had to tell you there was something there. You had to know before to make that run.
Jeff Page fished out of Venice, Louisiana. I fished out of Houma. For those of you guys who don't really know how far that is, 56 miles southwest of New Orleans is Houma, and Venice is 90 miles southeast of New Orleans.
That's where we leave to go offshore fishing.
Absolutely. But, Dave, there's a variety of different ways to catch a redfish. You can catch them on shrimps, you can catch them on popping corks, you can catch them standing on a pier, you can catch them fishing out of a kayak, and that's what makes it so great.
Well, they like to eat everything. They
do.
They eat plug, fish, so they'll eat a plug, and they like to eat crabs and shrimp, so they'll eat all the soft baits that you throw at them. The hardest part nowadays is getting close enough that you can make a presentation and not spook them at the same time, because they're getting spookier and spookier the more guys are out there fishing for them. But, that just makes us better at it.
That's right.
That's the way I feel about it.
And that's when you have to downsize your line, downsize your leader, sometimes even downsize the size of the lure.
Yes,
go to something
even
smaller.
Especially with redfish, because like you said, they have that underslung mouth. If you're using a topwater plug especially, they're coming up to the surface. They use that big old head, and it'll push a bow wave, and a bigger lure will jump out of the way faster than a little one sitting in the water.
Absolutely correct.
Plus, it's a lot easier for them to eat it if it's smaller.
Well, man, time flies when we're having fun.
Well, that was awesome, dude.
Hey, I'm so glad that
now see, you're going to be in trouble, though, because I'm going to take these secrets and kick your butt one day.
I hope you do. Publicly, I want to invite you to bring it.
I couldn't do it.
All right, Dave. But you know what, Brie, speaking of bringing it, we've got a new captain for the Northeast region. So why don't you introduce him to all the people watching?
Yes, we do. Can we get a drum roll, please?
Yes.
Whoa, I want to give a warm welcome to our new captain in the Northeast region, whom I had the pleasure to fish with recently, Captain Tommy Derringer, a.k.a. Northeast Redfish King.
Wow.
Wow, that's a big title.
Hey, Brie. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Tommy.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys.
Sure.
So tell us about redfish in the Northeast region, Tommy.
All right, guys. Hey, I got to tell you, I'm really stoked that redfish is going to be the first theme species of the year. I eat, sleep, and breathe redfish, guys. It's definitely one of the most targeted and favorite species here in Northeast Florida. Now, right now, the best redfish bite is going to be early in the morning on that high tide using a topwater plug. And one of the favorites in my region is always going to be that Rapala skitter walk you guys were just talking about. Now, we've been catching some really nice fish by working that skitter walk around those grass lines at high tide. Areas like the Pelletier Flats and pretty much all around Pine Island are holding a lot of redfish willing to eat a topwater right now. Now, we've been seeing a really good influx of finger mullet over the last few weeks as those water temps continue to climb, and we're going to see more and more as it gets warmer. So I'll tell you what, if you find the finger mullet in an area right now, you're going to want to fish it hard because that's where the redfish are going to stay. Now, we also have a really good afternoon low tide this week. The redfish are going to be stacking up in those creek holes throughout the entire region. I fished the last couple hours of the outgoing tide and the first of the incoming, use either a live shrimp or a live mud minnow on a 1/4 ounce jig head in those creek holes. Now, there's going to be a lot of small reds around, but you're also going to find some nice flop fish in there as well. I think we have a photo here. This is a good client and friend of mine, Sam Bell, with his perfect 27-inch flat redfish he caught using a skitter walk while fishing with me recently in the Pellister Flats area.
Hey, great photo, Tommy. Make sure you keep those coming this year.
Oh, yeah. I got plenty of them.
All right, what else?
We're going to talk about...
Go ahead. Tell me about the black drum.
About some black drum. Yeah. We've got a really good black drum bite happening right now. We've been catching a lot of fish in the 3 to 8 pound range. The best setup is going to be a piece of dead shrimp or a fiddler crab fished on the bottom. Now, I like to use a fish finder rig with a small 1 to maybe 2/0 VMC circle hook. A couple of good areas right now to check out for those black drum are going to be the deeper cuts around the Devil's Elbow Flats in St. Augustine, as well as those same creek holes throughout the entire region we were talking about earlier. And again, probably that best bite's going to be on either side of the low tide. But just remember, those black drum are notorious nibblers, so give them just a little bit and let them start to swim off before you come tight.
All right, let's go offshore, Tommy.
All right, offshore. I spoke with Captain Jeffrey Crabtree out of Jacksonville this week, and he's been catching some really nice wahoo. He's high-speed trolling in the 15 to 18 knot range, anywhere from about 120 to 200 feet, and he's pulling some green and black or blue and white Mr. Bigs behind some trolling leads. Now, I also spoke to Captain Jason Hadges from J-Hook Fishing Charters out of the Conch House, and he's also been catching some good wahoo, but he's slow trolling some skirted ballyhoo at the temperature break. Now I got a picture here, from left to right. This is Justin Lee, Scott Roman, and Nathan Clardy with a lunker of a wahoo they caught, high-speed trolling in about 135 feet of water.
Wow, that is a stud wahoo, dude.
Dang.
That's a nice one.
All right, tell us. Go ahead.
Captain Jason also told me that the bottom fishing's been really good in that 23 to 24 fathom range. Lots of beeliners, lots of triggerfish, as well as a bunch of throwback groupers and a ton of red snapper. They're all chewing really good on those deeper reefs and wrecks right now. They also said that closer in on those nearshore numbers, there's going to be some big sea bass to be had on the bottom. And both captains also wanted me to mention the dolphin bite is starting to pick up and should only get better in the next few weeks. You got to look for them to start showing up right on the edges of the current and on the weed lines out there near the lead.
Hey, way to start us off, Tommy. We appreciate you filling in, and we're actually looking forward to working with you for the rest of this season. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the Northeast hotspots from the Northeast region. Captain Tommy says inshore, redfish, black drum in the deeper creek holes north of Volano Bridge to Palm Valley. Afternoon low tide and first of the incoming live shrimp or mud minnows for redfish and dead shrimp or fiddlers fished for the black drum. And then offshore, wahoos at the temperature break trolling a skirted ballyhoo in 7 to 10 knot range, dolphin in the current edges, and also on the weed lines near those ledges.
Welcome to the danger zone. You like that?
I do.
All right, that's his new intro song. Next up, we have the Panhandle and Southwest regions right here on the Chevy, Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
Don't drift off. We'll be right back.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. Guy Harvey Clothing by Aftco. Drummond Community Bank. Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Casa Vieja Lodge, Guatemala.
Chevy Colorado. When you find new roads, you win Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
Fish Stock, the total saltwater experience, returns to New Smyrna Beach this Memorial Day weekend. Bring the whole gang to Riverside Park for an incredible family experience. Tournaments, boat shows, seminars, kids clinics, and the Fish Stock 5K Fun Run. Put your skills to the test in the Redfish Trout Challenge. And new this year, Boston Whaler and Marine Max offer $2,500 cash for the largest fish caught each day in the Offshore Striker Tournament. Don't miss out on the fun. Visit fishstock.com to register.
We're here at Power Pole headquarters, and today's Power Pole tip of the week is about what is a power pole. So let's talk about it. Back in 1998, Power Pole was first established, and it had a 6-foot power pole, but essentially things haven't changed much since then, other than the variety of different units that you can get. The idea was to be able to anchor in very shallow water, and more importantly, be able to control the way your boat might have laid on a shoreline. But the thing that I can remember is back in 2009, getting back into the bass business is really what allowed Power Pole to expand. And certainly Power Pole's line of products have evolved because of all the different needs that we have in today's fishing. Now, whether it's anchoring from the bow or 2 power poles on the stern, it allows you to have more control over your boat, and that's why Power Pole is the ultimate anchoring shallow water system. And that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
That's some nice camo you got going on there, Rick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Moving way up to the Panhandle region, we bring you Captain Pat Deneen with the latest and greatest. Welcome back, Pat.
Hey, Brie, it's good to be back. How are y'all?
Pretty good.
Well, I tell you what, we've got some year-round red fishing in the Panhandle. We definitely catch them year-round, from small ones to big ones. And right now there are plenty of big ones to be found. When the weather permits, there's really good sight fishing for the bull redfish along the Gulf front beaches. We're casting the schools of fish in small groups. They'll readily take skitter walks, soft plastics like the bass assassin dye dapper on a jig head, and also live bait. And then in the east end of Choctahatchee Bay, out in the middle, the deeper parts of the bay, the redfish are schooling, and you find them underneath the birds. If you find the birds, the pelicans, and the terns diving, the redfish are pushing the bait up, and you just run to those bird flocks and either cast soft plastics or troll deep diving plugs. And we've been having very good luck with the Rapala 20s. They dive deep. I've taken both the treble hooks off of them. I'll put a VMC 7/0 inline single hook on the back of the lure to make for an easy release, and it's also safer for the guy doing the releasing. And then over in Pensacola, the 3 Mile Bridge has been very good at night under the lights, and then the Fort Pickens beaches, the Gulf front beaches, have been holding a lot of those Gulf front schooling fish. So, as I say, the redfish and bite's been good right now, and there's a picture to prove it. That's Mary Mahoney. She came up from West Palm Beach to fish with Todd Royal and caught that nice big fat redfish on her first cast, and they said there were literally hundreds of fish up on the surface under the birds in Choctahatchee Bay.
That's an awesome fish, Pat Tar.
Yeah, man, that's a nice shot, too.
All right.
Historically, the sheepshead bite's very good late winter and early spring up here, and this year has been no different. The bite's a little bit off, or I guess it's kind of peaked in the Choctahatchee Bay area, but the structure inside the passes of Pensacola and Panama City are doing very well. It's a filler crab or a live shrimp on a number 1 or 1/0 hook, 20-pound leader and a slip sinker. The best bites on the moving tide. The fish are running anywhere from 3 to 4 pounds, but sometimes you can get that 5 or 6 pounder. And kind of self-regulate how many you keep. You may end up with more than you want to clean at the end of the trip. Moving offshore, the cobia migration has begun. The first fish was caught on St. Patrick's Day, so a couple weeks ago. And so far this year is looking pretty good. We've had some good quality fish being weighed in. Quite a few fish over 60 pounders. I know there was a 70-plus pounder caught on Fort Walton Pier, an 80-plus pounder caught on the Pensacola Pier. Best action has been down towards Navarre, but there are some fish showing up east of Destin and also on the lip outside Destin Pass, particularly on the incoming tide. A bright dingling jig is the way to go, or either a half head or a full head. As a lure, that's definitely number 1 choice. A live eel is probably the number 1 live bait choice. Rig your bait on 40 to 60-pound leader. As always, have a variety of baits in your well to catch that finicky fish. And there's a photo of me and my dog, Maya Dog, and that's a 62-pound fish we caught this past week. just right outside Destin Pass.
Man, now, did the dog sight fish that with you, Pat?
She helped me land it. How's that, Rick?
I love it. All right, let's go offshore, Bubba.
Hey, the amberjack fishing is the go-to fish offshore right now. Fish on the big metal wrecks in 140-plus feet of water, and also on the larger natural breaks and lumps offshore of the edge. Hardtails really haven't showed up in the area yet, so either pick up some live pinfish or chofers before you leave the dock, or stop on some natural bottom on the way out and catch some beeliners or some ruby red lips. Fish are baits mid-depth with a slip sinker rig, a long leader, and a circle hook. Also, the Williamson Vortex jigs work really well on heavy spinning tackle or jigging rod. The amberjack sizes vary from shorts to very large fish. Typically speaking, the deeper and further offshore the wreck or structure, the better the quality fish. And as always with amberjacks, a big bait sometimes equal to big fish.
All right, Pat, thank you. Great report from the Panhandle region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Captain Pat says inshore, sheepheads and St. Andrews jetty on live shrimp or fiddler crabs. And then offshore, sight fish the cobia migration using the ding-a-ling jig and live eels.
You're a ding-a-ling jig.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm your favorite ding-a-ling jig.
Maybe. And you know what, guys? If you want to come out and meet Captain Pat Deneen from the Panhandle region and Dave Ferrell, they'll be at Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe on April 10th and 11th. But now, we're going to drop down to the Southwest region. Drop down. With Captain Ronnie Houston, who
I'm already
definitely
dropped down. I was born dropped down.
You are. Has a knack for some red fishing. We missed you, Ronnie.
Well, like always, guys, it's a pleasure being back. Got to bear with me. I'm at an event, but the redfish, they can be caught all throughout the region, all year round, inshore, offshore, and in the backcountry. And you want to target the grass flats, edges, potholes, deadwood, beaches, oyster bars, and points with current. You can be stealthy by wading or poling. A small skiff or even a kayak can be used, or even a bay boat. You want to concentrate on abundance of bait, such as mullet, pilchards, pinfish, or shrimp. You can use those baits, but mullet, crab, herring, and ladyfish will also work. You can also use a variety of artificial baits, such as walk-the-dog lures, bucktails, gold or silver spoons, lift plugs 1 to 3 feet, or a simple soft plastic basket has some shrimp, sea shads, vapor shads, and dye dappers, and they all work well with that new Bass Assassin swim hook. All will work. Typical size is 18 to 30 inches, with some redfish up to 40. The shallower you fish for the redfish, the more stealth is the key. And a prime example in the region, I have a picture of Bill Guzman, where the redfish just caught a couple days ago. That's what's going on further south. Now, also on the inshore report, the tarpon has been a good showing off fish with moderate weather and water temps, heating up from Clover Key all the way to Marco. Lower waters in the key, tarpon are everywhere. Near shore wrecks, passes, grass flats, soft, hedges, and residential canals. Fish are bunched up and being pressured to keep away from the pressured fish. There are so many you can find these fish on your own, and that's been the best luck for me. Artificial bait, lip plugs, 4 to 6 inch red and white have been good, but the Bass Assassin dye dappers, 5 inch and Houdini and smoking shad, or dark colored flies in clean water, live pinfish, mullet, pilchards or cut mullet, ladyfish and catfish nails on the bottom when it blows. Moderate weather fish appear, winds, they disappear. Typical size is 60 to 150 pounds. And I have a picture of another fish caught by Bill Guzman in the moderate weather in the clean water.
Boy, that's a big poon there, Ronnie. Go ahead and tell us about offshore, bub.
You know, the offshore side, here we are. Moderate weather has been the key for all this stuff going on. With the blow, everything's been tough. But the cobias, Fort Myers Beach to Boca Grande, some wrecks anywhere from 8 to 20 miles out. Simply looking for these fish on top or dropping live baits to the bottom. Chumming will help bring these fish up. Also, chugging lures, bright colors on top will also attract them. Baits also include pinfish, herring, grunts, pilchards, bucktails, and artificial reels. Patience is the key on these wrecks. Artificial bite. Some of these fish are scattered, but some of these wrecks are holding big groups. Also on the offshore side, the king mackerels, Marco to Fort Myers Beach, concentrate on hard bottom and wrecks, 4 to 15 miles out. You control planers with drone spoons or lift plugs to locate the fish. Once you find them, then switch to the white 1 ounce jigs, live or dead herring. Live pilchards will work. Best to look for diving birds and schools of bait. And I'll be giving you guys updates all throughout the year on the new CCA Star Tournament. Get online and look it up. plenty of prizes awarded. You got to make sure you're a member. Start looking that up, and we'll keep you detailed for the rest of the year.
All right, way to go, Ronnie. Way to start us off. Good report this week. And we're going to go ahead, before we look at the hot spots, Brie, you know, in our house, we really believe in having good grades, but rewarding our kids when they do well.
Of course.
This buddy of mine, Marcus, he came, his mom really felt strongly that if he would bring his grades up, he could go fishing with me. So he came down, he lives in Punta Gorda. And Marcus, job well done. Keep up the good grades, and I can't wait to go fishing with you again. That's a nice redfish that Marcus caught.
Yes,
but we got to get to the Southwest regional hotspots, the Florida Outdoor Experience hotspots. Inshore, snook, full moon bite, late night incoming Fort Myers Beach to Cape Coral. Fish the intercoastal, docks, seawalls, shadow lines. And then offshore, permit, Lossman's River to Marco, 7 to 20 miles out fishing. Wrecks, use live shrimp, crabs, bright colored bucktails, Brie.
Okay, Rick. Well, that was a grade A redfish, by the way.
It was. Hey.
Hey. Well, coming up on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're moseying on over to the Southeast region, and Dave is going to give us the lowdown on some new products, right, Dave?
Yes, we are. We got a whole bunch of stuff up here. It's always the best part, getting some stuff.
Oh, don't squirt the camera. All right, we'll be back.
Good job, Dave.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. Navionics, we start where the road ends. Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium boat brands, Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. And First National Bank, your first choice for better banking.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation.
All fishermen are created equal. Some just use better fishing line.
Hey, welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're here at the CCA Florida Workbench. Dave,
Yes, we are.
New products is the way you make a living.
Yes, and hopefully we can do it well.
Yes, you do.
This is our new Starbright. It's a big sponsor of ours, but this is a really cool product from them. It's the Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Guard. And I tell you what, a little story. A girl at work had some problems. Her father-in-law climbed in the car with sunscreen all over her new car.
No.
And she put some of that vinyl guard on it, and it got all the stains off, and it just made it really nice. She was very appreciative that I gave her some of that stuff. But it's
So
awesome stuff.
You just simply spray it on?
Spray it on, wipe it off. It's like Armor All times 100. It's awesome. It makes your leather, your vinyl, just about any kind of plastic that you put it on, it's gonna make it soft and supple and shiny. It really does a good job, and it'll clean. You can use it clean, to get some grime off. I wouldn't use it to get real heavy dirt off. They got other cleaners for that.
Right.
But this is a really good stuff if you want to keep your leather and your vinyl protected, your plastics in your car or in your boat. That's obviously your boat.
Great stuff by the guys at Starbright.
Everything they make good stuff.
Awesome.
So. This is a really cool thing. This is a Fraybill pump. Plano owns Fraybill now, but this is a pump a live well pump that floats on the surface of the water. It'll turn any 30-gallon cooler, bucket, container, live well, whatever you got, you float that sucker in there, and it uses this little air draw. It puts micro bubbles in the water. It gets 100% saturation of oxygen in a 30-gallon tank. So, you know, this is great if you have a cooler up in the front of your boat and you want to turn it into a live well, you want to go to live bait or whatever. It's got a nice on-off switch. It floats around nicely. You can adjust this weight, you know, whichever you want to go. When you put it in a corner, so it'll stay in a corner. It's got a removable filter in there,
so you can clean it.
Exactly, and it'll keep your live baits alive, which is a great little thing. You know, they make a lot of those little cheapy type of deals, you know, that they hang on buckets and stuff.
Yeah.
This thing would be
Little
awesome.
bubblers.
You turn that, you know, turn a nice Yeti cooler into a.
Well, I can tell you,
into a live well.
This is one thing tonight. It's not going to get returned.
No, oh no. Okay, we also got the little Rapala sent this thing to me about 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago.
Shall we show them,
I don't even know if people have seen that sucker yet. That's the Rapala Shadow Wrap, and it's a jerk bait. You know, it's a real jerk bait. But that sucker, I made 2 casts with it and caught a bass and a biggest speckled perch I've ever seen in my life in my back lake on 2 casts. And that thing, it goes in the water and it floats straight down doing this thing.
Yeah.
It flashes straight, and it doesn't sink real fast. It sinks real slow, so you can make a long cast, and by the time you don't have to hurry up and get it before it sinks too low. You know, it sinks real slow, so you can, you know, good slow retrieve, and you can jerk it, and it'll jerk 180. It'll do 180s on you.
Not walk the dog under the water.
Under the water.
On.
It's walking the dog under the water.
Come on.
And it works just great, even if you don't do that. Even if you just reel it along.
In salt water, it's even gonna sink slower.
It will sink slower in salt water. That's the new Rapala Shadow Wrap jerk bait.
I can tell that he and I are gonna have a moment together.
There's some little scratches on there on that one already. You gotta love it when they get scratched up right out of the box, man.
I do. Speaking of scratched up,
now we've had some.
These aren't.
These are nice. These are extra tough. They're made by Extra Tough. We've had their boots on here before. You know, they're called the Alaskan Sneaker. Everybody wears those Extra Tough boots to work. Well, this is their new Bluefin Performance Deck shoe, and you know, just like the other Extra Tough, all their stuff, they're incredibly well built. Those are 100% waterproof. You know, don't have to worry about getting them wet, that's for sure. They got microfiber leather up on the front and a breathable mesh. They got the nice removable insole, so you can wash it out.
Take it out and wash it.
You gotta you gotta do that, or those things are gonna they'll kill you. They get so stinky. Everybody says they have micro whatever it is, and keep stuff from stinking. I haven't yet to found that to
well,
work
you're
on any shoe
test
that I
these,
put
I'm
on.
sure.
Well, no, I can't. Those are for you, man. I don't think
it's
I
my
can.
size.
Yeah, I don't think
thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
They sent them for you for some reason.
8.5.
Those also have good weep holes, for drainage and everything, so they dry real fast, which you got to have in a boat shoe. Not as important are they to be able to stand up to being wet, but they got to dry off quick.
Right.
One of the last things we got here. We got some, Egret's a good Florida company. He's making a lot of jerk baits. These are some of their little wedge tails. I like the little tail action on there. I don't know why.
I think any man likes a little tail action.
Yeah, why not? That's got, you got
Just
the chartreuse. Exactly, you got the little chartreuse tail. You're gonna make me blush.
Yes.
And that's, it's got the crystal in there. I like soft baits a lot, but this is the egret thing that I really like. It's their mullet. That's a 3.5 wedge tail mullet, and you see they've got it cut wedges. That's, it's been around, that little technique's been around for 10 or so years, people doing that. But that thing is really, really tough. I mean, you feel that. This is made out of the same stuff they make shoes out of. So you can't put this with the other soft baits. Remember, like in the old days, they'd had that plastic that would eat up your worms and everything melt together. Well, that's the one thing about this thing. It's really, really tough, but you don't want it to be sitting around your other baits. It's got a half ounce weight in it, so you can cast it a long ways, and it's got a good balanced treble hook on it. I imagine trout, redfish, anything that would eat a little mullet, and that looks exactly like a little mullet. Anything that will eat a little mullet will eat that egret mullet.
All right, good job, Dave. And speaking of split tail, that was coming.
Yeah.
The queen, the one who's in charge of it in this studio.
Well, actually,
Brie.
Rick, I think there's like a shadow. Oh, that's just your mountain of trophies to the left.
That's a mountain of trophies.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Keeping the lines tight in the southeast region, we have Captain Jimbo Thomas waiting and ready to give you the best first season report ever. Right, Jimbo?
That's correct. Hey, Brie. Hey, Rick. Hey, Dave.
Hey.
Great to be back.
Well, you know, the southeast region has never been a good area for redfish. Every now and then there's one caught in the north end of the region in the Lake Worth Lagoon, and then there's some found in the extreme south end along the western shoreline of Biscayne Bay from Snapper Creek Canal south to Card Sound. And most of these fish are the leftovers from a hatchery release project that took place in the 1990s. Most of these fish are also over slot size, and they've also probably been caught and released 100 or more times. Who knows? Very rarely is there a small one caught, which leads me to believe that there's not many reds making their way into Biscayne Bay around from Florida Bay. But just like redfish caught in the rest of the state, they can be caught with a bucktail jig tipped with shrimp, a Bass Assassin jig head with a soft plastic, gulp, or Trigger X baits. And then our good friend Captain Joe Gonzalez, he occasionally targets redfish along the shoreline from Black Point south to Turkey Point. And he says that those reds are usually right up along the shoreline in the mangroves, and he likes to use a piece of cut crab for the bait. Now, we got a photo here. This is Skip Barker. He was out fishing with Captain Joe Gonzalez in the South Biscayne Bay area, and Skip caught this redfish and several bonefish, giving him the rights to claim a Biscayne Bay red bone. That's a great catch. But what we lack in redfish, we do make up for with the tarpon. All of the inlets, bridges of the Intercoastal Waterway, and the lit docks, they've been alive with tarpon in the 40 to 100-pound range, and almost all the activity has been taking place in the evenings and the early mornings. Now, the bait of choice right now is a big live shrimp. There's been a great shrimp run the last few nights, so those tarpon are in there gorging themselves on these shrimp. Now, if you can't get any live shrimp, which should not be a problem, a live pinfish or a live crab would also be a great bait choice. You want to drift your bait through the inlet or fish along the bridge and dock shadow lines on the outgoing tide. Now, moving offshore, the sailfish bite has been steady for the last few weeks. And on the days that we've had wind, we've been fishing live herrings, pilchards, and goggle eyes under the kites. And then on the no-wind days, which we have had a lot of those lately, we've been fishing the baits out of the outriggers. Now, a lot of these fish, they've been coming off of free-jumping sails. And on those calm days, they're very easy to spot. More often than not, even though we're only seeing one fish jump, there's been small schools or packs of these sailfish traveling to the south. If you can get lined up and get the baits in front of them, there's a good chance of getting a multiple hookup. Most of this sailfish action is taking place in 120 to 250 feet of water, and if you can find some blue water with north current, that's where it's going to be the best. Now, also mixed in with these sailfish along the edge in about 100 to 160 feet of water have been some really nice-sized kingfish. Most of these larger kings are being caught on the same live baits that the sails have been eating, pilchards, herrings, goggle-eyed sardines, whatever you can get. We've just been adding a short piece of number 4 wire leader to our sailfish rigs to avoid any cutoffs from those kings, and the wire doesn't seem to have any effect on the sailfish bites. Now, some of these kings caught on the live baits, they've been up into the 40-pound or larger range. Also trolling the planer or wire line rig with a 3.5 drone spoon or pink sea witch with a strip bait combination, that's also been working, but the size hasn't been nearly as good, with the average trolled fish being in the 5 to 8 pound range. And the kings have been biting pretty good throughout the whole region, but the Hillsborough, the Boca inlet areas seem to be the most productive.
All right, great report from the Captain Harry Southeast region, Jimbo. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. It's the First National Bank of South Florida hotspots. We want to welcome them to the show. Captain Jimbo says inshore drift live shrimp through the inlets in the late afternoon or the evening for those tarpon up to 100 pounds. And then offshore, fish live baits along the drop-off in 80 to 200 feet of water for a mixed bag of sailfish, kingfish, and blackfin tunas, Brie.
Okay, guys, 6 regions down, 3 more to go, which means we're hitting up the Keys and Northwest region, so don't drop that anchor just yet. We'll be right back. Look at that truck. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh.
It is.
Oh, so
nice.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. StarTron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti Coolers. Built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. And Sea Sucker, vacuum mounting systems.
Serious fishermen demand quality equipment on their boats and on shore. That's why Florida boaters have trusted Decks and Docks for over 20 years for dock lumber, hardware, and accessories. Tough products that stand up to the roughest environments, and elegance to please the most discerning homeowner tastes. Decks and Docks, supplying waterfront customers with lumber, decking, and seawall, with 10 locations across Florida.
It's the Barbarian Queen.
Wait.
Does she have special powers when she has the shroud?
No, guys.
It's the woven ones, the woven
Oh, that
ones.
gives her invincibility. Guys.
No.
The Scarlet King is Lord Victor's son. No, don't. I told you. You guys are gonna be so surprised when you watch the finale.
You're so lucky your car has Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I am.
Equinox from Chevrolet, the first and only car company to bring built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi to cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
For weekly reports from our 9 captains and our latest events, make sure to check out our website at the Chevy Florida Insider FishingReport.com. You can also like us on Facebook and even send us your photos. Plus, follow us on Instagram at Captain Rick Murphy and Official Insider. And now we have the one and only Randy Tapp from the Keys region, who we know is a huge fan of the fish fans. Go, Randy.
Hey, fish fans, good evening. You know, we've got some redfish in our region, especially around Flamingo. Still remains pretty good, and a lot of the fishing that happens over there, there's a couple of ways you do it. One, on the low rising tide, as that tide comes up, if you got a technical boat, something that goes shallow, you can get up on the flats as the water comes up and these fish move on there. You're going to find some nice tailing fish, something you can sight cast to, and I've actually been seeing some paddle boards, believe it or not, up on some of these flats, and these guys are getting into some really skinny water up on those flats around Flamingo, finding these reds. Now, all that's great, but when the tide gets up, you got to go to plan B, or if you've got a bigger boat, you want to look along some of the shorelines and some of these mangrove islands where that water pushes up and these fish kind of get around the mangroves and they get under the bushes and things like that. And that's a lot of fun fishing, and something like a quarter-ounce hookup jig with a shrimp or a pinfish is a great bait to fish along those shorelines and pick away at some nice reds. You've also got the chance of some of these big schools coming up on the flats as well. As the tide starts falling, you might find these fish in the runoffs and some of the deeper channels. When those flats get dry, those fish got to go somewhere, and you can find them in some of these deeper spots that run off of these dry flats. I've got a photo of young David Butler with a nice redfish he caught on a fly that he tied himself just the other day.
That's a beautiful fish there, Randy. What else you got for us inshore?
You know, bonefish. What? The slimy bonefish. You don't hear me talking about those very often, but you're going to hear it this year, and that's because it looks like they're making a little comeback, and I can only tell you that there was a bonefish tournament here, the all-tackle bonefish tournament, a couple of weeks ago. It had 20 of the best anglers and guides in it, and they caught about 75 bonefish. It's a bonefish redfish tournament, but they caught quite a few bonefish in this tournament, which was surprising. A live shrimp or a live quarter-sized crab was the ideal bait. Some of these fish were on the ocean, and some of the fish were in the bay, not very far into the bay, not like Buchanan or 9 Mile way back, but some of the closer spots just on the backside of the bridges, these fish were holding pretty nice. I talked to Dave Boris, a local guide out of the Lorelei who does a lot of bone fishing, and he was fishing in the tournament with angler Dennis Finks, and I've got a photo of one of the 2 fish over 13 pounds they caught in that tournament.
Wow, Dave, congratulations. That's a fish of a lifetime. Congratulations to your angler. Man, that's awesome. Keep those pictures coming, Randy. Tell us what's going on offshore, bud.
You know, with the calm weather, everybody likes to go daytime sword fishing right now. It's still popular as ever. Out in about 400 or 1,400 to 1,800 feet, you want to fish a heavy rod with 65 to 80 pound braid, 10 pounds of lead, and some sort of fresh strip rate, like a bonita belly or a cuda belly or a dolphin belly, something like that that's going to stay on the hook and last a little bit when you get several strikes on it. And that's the way a lot of these guys are doing it right now. They're getting offshore looking for dolphin, and they're also dropping down. I've got a photo. Captain Nick Stanzik on the charter boat B&M at a Bud and Mary's, who is one of the best, without a doubt, at catching these swordfish. He had his angler the other day, Jim Dyron from Atlanta. They caught a 465-pounder.
Why don't we just call this Big Florida Keys Fishing Night? Oh my
that was
golly.
original.
Holy
that is a
cow.
lunker for sure.
Wow.
Congratulations, Nick. What a great fishing family. All right, give me one more species, Randy.
And it was just the two of them on the boat that day, so it isn't like they had a lot of help, getting this thing in the boat. So that was a great catch for those guys.
Wow.
The dolphin fishing, it's a little early. I'm not going to say it's dolphin season or it's time to go get your dolphin stuff and run out there, but guys are catching them, and there's not a lot of bird activity right now, so most of the fish are being caught just out of the blue, or they're being caught under some sort of debris that's floating. I've heard of a lot of pallets and a lot of trees offshore, both of which I never seem to find when I'm dolphin fishing, but everybody else is finding them. They're catching some nice dolphin on them, and it's been pretty good. 600 to about 1,000 feet of water seems like the depth where they're finding the debris, and also that's a good area just to blind troll. Get out in some of these zones, put some ballyhoos in your rigger, and just get ready to get into some dolphin, have your spinning rods or pitch baits ready. I've got a picture of Ralph Shepard from Miami fishing with me about a week ago, catching a doubleheader, nice big dolphin.
Hey, Randy, I got a question. Yeah, it's not a question. It's not dolphin season, but he's holding two slammers there.
What's that?
So, Bub, I got a question for you. If you want to catch a swordfish, I know you guide inshore and offshore, and somebody wants to come down and go sword fishing with you. What would be the month you would suggest, and how much is it going to cost them?
He means me.
Guys, it's really simple. The prime fishing really kind of revolves around the weather. If you've got good weather, I've caught swordfish every month out of the year. You're looking at about $1,500 for the day, and certainly in the summer, it's more consistent with nicer weather. So any time between now and September is a great time to go do it.
All right, well, guys, if you want to go fishing with Captain Randy, there's his info on the screen. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the La Jolla hotspots from the Florida Keys region.
Thanks, guys.
Captain Randy says inshore, bonefish. Look at the oceanside flats on the rising tide, low tide. Look for the tailors. High tide, look for them swimming. And then offshore, dolphin. Start looking for the birds or anything floating in 600 to 1,000 feet of water, Troll Valley, until you find them, Brie.
Woohoo! Well, now it's time to tell you about some tournaments in the Florida Keys. The final sale is set for April 15th through the 19th in Key West and is the grand finale of the 4-event Quest for the Crest Sailfish Series. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash prizes up for grabs. The Redbone at Large Sunrise Sunset Celebrity Tarpon Tournament is slated for April 17th through the 19th, with angling scheduled during the early morning and late afternoon. The event is one of many tournaments that benefits the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. The Islamorada Spring Classic is a new family-formatted boat tournament that is to feature 9 targeted Gulf and backcountry species. Trophies are to be offered to top boats in weight and release categories, as well as private vessel and charter divisions. Presented by Ocean Reef Club, the inaugural Hooked Up Invitational features 12 boats, 12 master chefs, and 12 celebrities getting hooked up for $500,000 in prizes. Target species include sailfish, tuna, wahoo, dolphin, and kingfish. And now let's hear from our trusty correspondent in the Florida Keys, Andy Newman.
Great to be back with you for another year of highlighting exciting angling competitions in the Florida Keys. And for our first report, we're featuring the Key West Fishing Tournament. celebrating its 50th anniversary. It kicks off this Saturday and continues through November 30th. Nearly 40 species of fish are targeted. There's 4 divisions, and the event is free to enter with weigh-ins at several official tournament stations in the Lower Keys and Key West. Now, since the tournament began, tens of thousands of citations have been awarded to anglers around the world. More details at KeyWestFishingTournament.com and more information on other tournaments at FLAKeys.com. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thanks, Andy.
Hey,
we'll make sure he gets happy, keep him happy.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, but you know, Brie, Andy was talking, or one of the featured tournaments was the final sale. Going to be down in Key West, the Jamie Bunn's tournament. Mike Weinhofer's the director of that tournament. Great tournament. I'm looking forward to going down there with the C1 team. We just fished in the Jimmy Johnson tournament in Key Largo and did pretty well. So I'm excited. We got some momentum. Hopefully we can keep it going when we get down to Key West because you always get me.
I almost did it.
All right. So anyway, I'm excited about getting down to Key
That
West.
sounds like a blast. All right, let's shoot over and hear from the straight shooter, Captain Jeff Hageman / Hagster in the Northwest region. Give us a bullseye report, Hag.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Woo!
All right.
Go.
We got
What are you,
great
turkey
red
hunting?
fishing throughout. What's that?
What are you, turkey hunting? You stopped on me.
I'm turkey hunting. We got great red fishing throughout our region. We really do have some awesome red fishing in the area throughout my whole region. The fish tend to school up more in the spring and the fall, but we've got, single fish throughout the year. Fish can be found anywhere on grass flats or on oyster bars, shell bars, docks, passes. It can be caught on spoons, live bait, dead baits are really effective, and flies. There are tailors, there are bonefish up here. So that's what we got to target if we want to go after tailing fish. The beginning of the incoming tide is a great time to go look for these fish, and they'll be tailing and pushing up on the flats and getting in there. And it's also a great way to learn your area that you're fishing. You can get in there on a super low tide on these negatives and get in there, see where the fish are going, see where they're pushing up and where they're going to end up, and follow them up there. Stealth approach is always necessary with redfish, especially when you're dealing with schools. You got 1 or 2 fish. It can be a little bit more noisy, but those big schools, you push one, you're going to push all of them. So get on your trolling motor, get on low, or pull up to them, make your cast, and get as stealthy as possible. We get those big breeder redfish offshore, usually when we get our kingfish, which is right now. And right now is a great time to be out on the water. Everything's getting fired up. The water temperature is warming up, so everything's biting real well right now. But those big breeders can be caught in the hard bottoms right off the beach in the spring and the fall. I've got a photo here of Morgan Hill with a nice Canterbury redfish caught with me.
That's a nice shot there, bub. All right, tell me what else you got going on. You always have the best pictures.
The trout bite throughout my region's been pretty good, but the upper half right now is going really strong. Look for fishing anywhere from 1 to 6 feet of water on the grass flats. And that broken bottom I'm always talking about, look for those sand holes. That's where they're going to be. These fish are ambush fish. They're going to be set up in those sand holes and looking out on the grass for baits and shrimp to come out of that area. Skitter walks first thing in the morning. Mossback color works really good. Also that orange back with a gold side, also a great bait. As soon as the sun gets a little higher, you want to switch over to a nuclear chicken and a turbo shad from Bass Assassin, or a pinfish under a Cajun Thunder is always a great bait. Fish are averaging right now anywhere from 14 up to 20 inches, and we got some fish up to 26 in there too, in the mix. Moving offshore, Captain Mario Costello out of Crystal River reports that Spanish mackerel are starting to show up in larger numbers right now as more and more bait schools get into the area. It's a great opportunity to get out there and practice your fishing skills. This is a great thing to take kids to go do. Anybody can go out there and do it. Throw a jig out there, Bassmaster spoon, Bassmaster in a double aught, or a 3/8 ounce jig head and a long shank hook is a trick. Keep you from getting bit off with any kind of soft plastic behind it, like that cow from DOA or a Bass Assassin Turbo Shad. You want to throw it out there and reel it as fast as you can to the back of the boat and just rip it, and they'll come up and hit it. They got really fast striking. There's fast swimming fish, so the faster you move it, the harder your hits are going to be. Also offshore, the red grouper bite throughout my region. It seems to be on fire, and they seem to be everywhere right now. But the south part of the region, you want to look for fish in anywhere from 40 to 80 feet of water over that flat rock and cheese bottom. And to the north, you want to look in that 60 to 90 in the same kind of bottom, that hard flat rock bottom, that Swiss cheese bottom that's all limestone. both the north and the south, you want to use cut squid or cut sardines on a standard or knocker rig.
Hey, Jeff, I got a couple questions for you. The first question is, I know you do some guiding for Florida Outdoor Experience, so tell me what you guys are promoting and guiding on right now, and then I'll ask you a second question about tarpon after you answer that one.
Right now, we're doing the turkey thing. We're fired up with this turkey season. We're pretty booked up for this year, but if you guys want to get involved in the next year's turkey season, right now we're almost at 100% for our success rate, and the turkeys are firing off and doing real well. I'm doing that pretty much every weekend and then fishing during the week.
And those are all Osceolas, right?
Yes, we're right on the lines. We can actually offer both. And most of our guys are coming. They're trying to get their slams for the year, and we can get an Osceola in the morning, and then if you get your Osceola in the morning, we can actually cross the Suwannee River, which is the line, and get your Eastern in one day.
Quickly, tell me how you booked that trip.
Get a hold of us at FloridaOutdoorExperience.com.
All right, Bub, great job from the Yeti Northwest region. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the Drummond Community Bank hotspots from the Northwest region. Captain Jeff says inshore snook on the beginning of the outgoing tide around the passes and points of the outer islands from St. Pete to Anclote, and then offshore red grouper. Seems to be everywhere from 25 to 120 feet of water in any flat rock or live rock bottom. Man, that's a big span when you're talking about the Gulf of Mexico.
It is.
25 to 120? You could be driving all day.
All day. I've never seen a turkey fish. Have you?
No.
Is that what we're talking about, turkey fish?
Turkey fish.
Turkey fish, that's what I thought. Okay, guys, stick around for our Costa Conservation Minute Tip and our captain from the East region on the one and only Chevy Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
There we go.
I gave it down low.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy, find new roads. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. The IGFA, conservation through education. Get your hands wet. Florida Outdoor Experience. Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company. And there's no stopping Okuma.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a paw and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
Fish Stock, the total saltwater experience returns to New Smyrna Beach this Memorial Day weekend. Bring the whole gang to Riverside Park for an incredible family experience. Tournaments, boat shows, seminars, kids clinics, and the Fish Stock 5K Fun Run. Put your skills to the test in the Redfish Trout Challenge. And new this year, Boston Whaler and Marine Max offer $2,500 cash for the largest fish caught each day in the Offshore Striker Tournament. Don't miss out on the fun. Visit fishstock.com to register.
Inside you, there's an outside you. A you that finds your dinner by finding your dinner's dinner. A you that isn't afraid to pick a fight with something that has a sword for a nose. This is for that you.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Chevy Colorado. When you find new roads, you win Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
Today's Costa Conservation Minute is about practicing catch and release. Now guys, remember this, that when it's a small fish, that small fish, if we take care of him, certainly can become a trophy for us down the road. So make sure that when we put the small fish back, we treat those fish with respect and take care of them. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is if the fish is big and he's oversized, get him back in the water as quickly as possible. Now, one of the things that I look for is I look to make sure that I face the fish into the current. And once I've established that, then I would like to move the fish in a swimming type of fashion. I hold the fish by the tail, and as I wiggle him, it actually triggers him to make sure that he understands that he can start swimming. These are a couple key tips on practicing good catch and release tactics, and that's today's Costa Tip of the Week.
And last but certainly not least for our opening season show, we have Captain Mike Holliday in the East region, who is going to make us proud as always, right, Mike?
You bet I am, Brie. I'm glad to be back, too.
We're glad to have you back.
Well, so listen, the warmer temperatures and big schools of minnows have the redfish up in the shallows of Indian River and southern St. Lucie counties right now on both shorelines, from Queens Cove and the docks of St. Lucie Village all the way up to the canals of Johns Island. Those reds are roaming the shorelines and mixing with the mullet schools, particularly around the areas that have a lot of turtle grass. That's your key. Find the turtle grass, you'll find the fish along those shorelines. The reds are in small schools of 3 to 6 fish. They're working the runouts in the mangroves, those little ditches that cut through the mangroves during the outgoing tide. That's when the shrimp and minnows are being pulled out of those impoundments. Now, redfish love the color gold, so cast a drunk monkey or a copper juice colored 4-inch bass assassin shad with a 1/8 ounce gold jig head. Cast it parallel to shore and work it back slowly, allowing the jig to hit bottom. You want to make little puffs in the sand. Now, gold spoons, live shrimp, and pilchards will also work. And the fish are schooling with a lot of slot and sub-slot redfish in the mix, like 3 to 5 fish in every school. So the red bite's on.
All right, what else you got for us inshore there, Buff?
Well, over the last 2 weeks, the snook bite's really fired up. And all those fish that wouldn't, move much to chase a lure or bait, now they're all on the hunt for food. And just to give you an idea how aggressive they're feeding right now, I was chumming snook for one of my fly customers this week, and we caught a fish that barfed up probably a dozen baits that he had eaten from my chum line. So they're really feeding hard. Now, the best snook action's coming at night around the Roosevelt Bridge in Stewart, the Turning Basin in Fort Pierce, and also the A1A Bridge in Jupiter. The bridges are definitely holding the largest fish, and a chartreuse flare hawk, a mag minnow, or a live shrimp are probably the top baits, although pilchards are working really well. There's also a good bite on the docks around Sewell's Point during the daytime, and around the Jensen Beach Causeway and North Bridge in Fort Pierce during the daytime. And if live baits are gig, there's a pretty good run of silver mullet going on right now. So a live 8-inch mullet put up on the seawalls at dawn or dusk, that'll get you some really big fish, mostly over the slot fish. Live pilchards or thread fins are also working well around the docks and on the flats. That's mostly a midday bite. And then the small baitfish flies are taking fish around the lights of Sewell's Point at night. Average snook 24 to 30 inches. And I got a photo there. That's Keg Avakian. He's holding one of the 15 or 20 snook that we caught on fly around the docks of the St. Lucie River that I was talking about.
That's a good day of fly fishing, bub. All right,
It's
what
down
else?
fire.
Well, let's go offshore now.
Well, April's historically the month to catch the largest dolphin of the year in my region. And while we haven't seen any of those 40 or 50 pounders of spring just yet, I expect them to push through any day now. What you want to look for is 3 or 4 days of windy weather out of the north or northeast that stacks up the current in the Gulf Stream and pushes the bait to the western edge of the Gulf Stream and over to our side. Unfortunately, the best dolphin fishing seems to be on the nastiest days, when it's hard to keep a bait in the water. And the best way to do that is to troll ballyhoo or swimming mullet, either naked or with a blue and white, a pink, or a green skirt. That'll let you cover more water when it's rough out. And you always want to keep some spinning rods ready with pitch baits or even a dead bait just rigged and ready to toss out to any fish that that come close to the boat. The best action's been off Palm Beach in 220 to 480 feet of water with most fish like 12 to 15 pounds right now.
All right, what else you got?
Well, that yellowtail bite out of Palm Beach County has been pretty decent in 60 to 90 feet of water, basically from Palm Beach Island all the way up to the Juneau Pier. Most of the boats are drifting during the daytime using squid or sardines on 12 to 20-pound tackle and a light fluorocarbon leader. There's also been a few mostly small mutton snapper in the mix. And that 85 feet range seems to have been hot in the last couple of days. And last week, we had a bit of a cold water upwelling, which is pretty early, with that south current. But that cool, funky green water is pushed out now. We should see bottom fishing improving over the next few days, maybe even a bunch of cobia in the mix. Average yellowtail's been 1 to 2 pounds.
Hey, great saltwater information. As you know, Mike, Lake Okeechobee, one of the top-rated lakes for bass fishing, so you got a bass report for us?
You bet I do, man. And, the last week we had a bit of the Lake Okeechobee standing at about 14.5 feet, and with all this warm weather, the bass have already been moving to the outside grass line. I was talking to tournament angler Daryl Bracken this week, and he was telling me it doesn't really matter where on the lake you fish, the north side, the south side, the west side, just find the Kissimmee grass and you'll find the bass. And he's throwing a Texas Rig Bass Assassin Fat Job in either blueberry or Junebug colors, or he's fishing a 5-inch Houdini colored dye dapper. He's throwing them up in the grass, working them out of the grass through the potholes, and the fish are blowing them up in the potholes. Most of the bass are in that 2 to 3 pound range with occasional 5-pounders in the mix. He said the guys that are fishing live shiners on the outside grass line off of Kings Bar are catching fish to 10 pounds or more. So it's like 20 to 30 bass with lures, 40 to 60 bass with live shiners. It's springtime in Okeechobee. It's as good as it gets. The bass are chewing. You need to get out there.
Great report from the Decks and Docks East region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the East region. Inshore, snook in the Fort Pierce Inlet, live shrimp or a flare hawk jig on the end of an outgoing tide or the first of the incoming, basically the low tide. And then offshore, Spanish mackerel up to 7 pounds off Peck's Lakes, jigs, spoons, and swimming plugs. Work them very fast.
Well, in just a few short minutes, we'll be finished with our very first show and on to the Fishing the Waters.
No.
I know, for an even better one next week. Don't worry. But you'll have to stick around to hear what we'll be fishing for. Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
When you want a dependable truck, you want the most awarded pickup of 2014. You want the truck from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. You want the Chevy Silverado, made of high-strength dependability. Chevrolet, find new roads.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report right on your YouTube channel. And make sure to check out our website for fishing reports in your region. Visit www.ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
What?
Next week on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we're talking cobia.
I love them.
Something
make
that Dave loves.
All right, guys, be quiet. So tune in to SunSports every Thursday. Plus, you can catch repeats of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report on Fridays and Saturdays. Check your local listing for times. Okay, you can talk now.
Damn, man, she's as bad as Whit Watson. Remember how Whit used to just reel us in?
I need to reel you in. You're just all over the place.
Thank you for watching this week, and more importantly, Brie, you did a good job, and you too, Dave, and all the captains.
Dave.
Way to go.
We
You'd
had
never
so
know.
much fun.
So, what are you going to do for Easter this weekend?
I don't know.
Easter.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think I'm going to Port St. Joe.
You are?
Yeah. I think that's where I'm going.
Next week.
I don't know when Easter is.
Come on, get it together, Dave.
Well, you know.
So
I'll be hiding eggs, I imagine.
Yeah?
That's what we still do.
So in the off season,
we still got a lot of eggs to hide.
Wait, I have a question. In the off season, what was the biggest fish you caught?
Whoa.
Ha!
Certainly, big tarpons for sure.
Oh, for
and
sure.
that's starting to happen now. I think the big thing for us certainly was the redfish. But what about you, Dave? How
900,
about Marlin
900
University?
pound black marlin in Australia.
Oh,
yeah. Hey, what's the time of year to go there?
November.
Maybe November?
Yeah.
Maybe
September, October, November.
I might need to go there for my 25th anniversary.
Yes, you should. I should set that
How
up
about
for
that?
you.
You think Mama could help me on that?
I think
She would
so.
love the Great Barrier Reef.
All right, guys.
Maybe. All right, well.
Handshakes.
Hey, great job.
We'll see you next week. Bye.